I'm Jenna Middaugh. Coming up on 11 News at noon, firefighters are trying to contain the wild horse fire burning mostly on Fort Carson. We have an update on how many acres have burned. Plus, one local store is using light to fight the coronavirus. A look at how Colorado Running Company is cleaning merchandise. And we are under an 11 breaking weather alert today for high fire danger. Meteorologist Lucy Bergman has the latest. Join us at noon.
This is KKTV 11 News at noon.
Hundreds of acres have burned on Fort Carson. We have the latest on efforts to contain the wild horse fire. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Jenna Middaugh. We're going to start with this 11 breaking news alert. Mandatory evacuations have been lifted for the wild horse fire, which is burning on Fort Carson south of Gate 6 and north of Turkey Creek. Homeowners that were evacuated are now on pre-evacuation status, meaning they need to be ready in case they have to evacuate again. This fire has burned roughly 580 acres and is 0% contained. Let's go to 11 News reporter Olivia DeRocha, who's live at the fire. Olivia, you were there when it first started yesterday. How does it look out there today? We know you'll stay on top of it. Thank you, Olivia. And we are under an 11 breaking weather alert today because of high fire danger. So let's get to meteorologist Lucy Bergman. Lucy, what are the winds like right now?
Much calmer.
Thank you, Lucy. We'll check in soon. Today, both Bard Trail and the incline are back open to hikers. They've been closed since Thursday due to a small fire burning about half a mile up Bard Trail. That fire is 100% contained now. Continuing our coverage on another fire burning in our state, this is video from 11 breaking weather chaser Eric Kelly. He was up by the Cameron Peak fire, which is west of Fort Collins, yesterday. You can see some light rain and snow flurries nearby. Officials are working to protect CSU's mountain campus and other structures that are threatened. The Cameron Peak fire is now more than 134,000 acres. It's burning in the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forests. The fire is nearly 50% contained. This afternoon, the Walmart on Platte Avenue will be closing to be cleaned. The store is scheduled to close at 2 this afternoon, and it will stay closed through tomorrow, reopening Wednesday morning at 7. There have been at least 10 cases of coronavirus at that store. The El Paso County Health Department has not said how many cases were employees versus customers. Walmart corporate says this is a proactive step to allow extra time for cleaning and to give employees more time to restock shelves. Developing now, we're learning more about a man accused of murdering someone during a rally in Denver this weekend. Matthew Doloff is being held in jail without bond. This video is from right after the shooting. You can see officers arresting Doloff and a gun lying at his side. 9 News in Denver contracted Doloff through a company to be private security for reporters at the protests, but officials say Doloff was not licensed as a security guard. The shooting victim has not been identified yet. Right now, Colorado Springs police are looking for the suspect who shot 2 men over the weekend. It happened at the Old School Tavern near Galley and Circle in Colorado Springs. According to officers, there was some sort of fight at a private event being hosted at the bar. That's when a suspect shot at the 2 men, hitting one in the torso and the other in the arm. Both men were taken to the hospital, but police have not released any information about what the suspect looks like or who that person might be. Tonight, school leaders are expected to discuss a controversial local mascot. Cheyenne Mountain High School's mascot is the Indian, but a new draft proposal could retire that. A debate reignited by an online petition has gained more than 6,000 signatures. A 2018 graduate of the high school started the petition. She says the mascot is dehumanizing.
Environment where culturally abusive behavior is acceptable.
D12's Board of Education is scheduled to meet at 5:30 this evening. If the resolution is approved, the Indian mascot would be retired and any nicknames or logos of it on school materials would need to be removed. A local running store is using UV light to clean merchandise. Colorado Running Company says employees use a wand to disinfect all the pairs of shoes and clothes after people try them on. That way, those items can go back on the shelves in a matter of seconds instead of waiting days in quarantine.
It's working.
The FDA's website says UV radiation has been shown to destroy the coronavirus. Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett is on Capitol Hill today for her confirmation hearing. Coming up on 11 News at noon, here are the opening statements from the first day. Plus, early voting starts in states around the country. What important dates you need to know about voting here in Colorado. The high-stakes confirmation hearing for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett is underway on Capitol Hill. If confirmed, she would expand the High Court's conservative majority to 6-3. Democrats object to holding the hearing so close to the election, but there's little they can do. Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett.
The hearings are expected to last 4 days. Today is opening statements. Tomorrow begins questioning, and you can watch the hearings live right now on our 11 News Facebook page. Today, early voting starts in Georgia, and you can see in this video just how many people are lined up outside to cast their ballot in Decatur. It looks like most people are wearing masks and standing as far apart as they can. Remember, ballots were mailed out to registered voters in Colorado last Friday, so you should be getting yours in the mail sometime this week if you haven't already. Ballots need to be returned by 7 on election night, and if you're mailing your ballot, make sure to send it no later than October 26th. That's 2 weeks from today. Let's check in with Lucy now.
I'm patiently awaiting mine, Jenna.
Thank you, Lucy. We are staying on top of this 11 breaking news alert. We're taking a live look right now at the Wild Horse Fire burning on Fort Carson. This fire is off Highway 115 south of Gate 6 and north of Turkey Creek. It's burned about 580 acres and is 0% contained. You can see it still smoldering there, that smoke in those hot spots. Now, this fire sparked yesterday on the west side of Highway 115, and because of strong winds, the flames jumped the highway and started burning in a training area on Fort Carson. Mandatory evacuations have been lifted, but those areas are still in pre-evacuation status, so they need to be ready, and we will continue to follow this throughout the day. President Trump says he wants to be on the campaign trail every day between now and November 3rd, despite no clear confirmation from his doctors that he tested negative for COVID-19. Coming up on 11 News at noon, what a new poll says about how Americans feel the president is handling the pandemic. President Trump's doctors have signed off on him to get back on the campaign trail and hold in-person events. However, there are still some questions about the president's health following his battle with the coronavirus. Deborah Alfarone has more details from the White House.
President Trump is back on the campaign trail today.
Axios reports the president has asked his campaign to put him on the road every day between now and November 3rd, and that his team is working on a schedule to make that happen. We're continuing to cover the destruction Hurricane Delta left behind. The storm brought high winds and heavy flooding on roadways and in neighborhoods along the Gulf Coast just 7 weeks after Hurricane Laura slammed the region. Let's bring meteorologist Lucy Bergman back in. And Lucy, this area has just been devastated. Thank you, Lucy. This is developing now. Coronavirus cases are continuing to rise around the world. A new outbreak in China has officials undertaking a massive testing campaign. 12 people tested positive in a city of 9 million, so officials are planning to test every person who lives there in just 5 days. In England, there are now more COVID-19 patients in the hospital than when restrictions began back in March. Some experts are warning of pandemic fatigue, but a professor from London who advises the British government says it's really just confusion
about what the rules are.
The British Prime Minister is expected to announce a new 3-tier alert system, but business groups are angry that it could mean more closures and even more lost income. Pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca is moving forward with the development of its antibody cocktail to prevent COVID-19. The company has now received $486 million from the U.S. government as it moves forward with phase 3 clinical trials. The drug is meant to prevent COVID-19 for up to a year after just a single dose. AstraZeneca is planning to supply up to 100,000 doses by the end of the year. We'll be right back. Looking ahead, the Broncos-Patriots game scheduled for this afternoon is now delayed again to next Sunday. This past week is now considered a bye for the Broncos. Yesterday, the Patriots reported another player tested positive for the coronavirus. Sunday's game is set to kick off at 11 a.m. We have some new video now of Arapahoe Basin getting ready for the upcoming ski season. The ski resort is making snow. Look at it covering all those lifts and coming down there. The resort is hoping to continue running the snowmaking machines today and into tonight if the temperatures are right. And A-Basin says there's no word on an opening date yet, but it is starting to look and feel more like winter up there. And we see snow in that video, Lucy, but we're under an 11 breaking weather alert here.
Yeah, for something completely opposite.
Thank you, Lucy, and stick with us here on 11 News. We will continue to track that fire and have the latest updates for you. We'll see you back here for 11 News at 4.